The famous thinker from ancient times, Epictetus, once said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." You might have heard people say that we're sort of like the average of the 5 people we hang around with most. Well, in this video, we're going to dig into that idea with a bit of a Stoic twist. We'll talk about 7 kinds of folks who might knock you off your Stoic journey and how to handle these tricky relationships. Before we jump in, hitting the like button would really help me spread the word about Stoicism. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that and ring the bell so you won't miss any new videos. Type of people number 1. The chronic complainer. First, let's talk about the chronic complainer. We all know someone who always seems to have something to gripe about, be it the weather, their job, or even a meal at a great restaurant. It's as if they never miss a chance to show their displeasure. You may think, I can just ignore them, but it's not always that simple. Being constantly around such negativity can really take a toll on your mental state. It's like a dripping tap that slowly empties your emotional energy tank. Stoicism encourages us to concentrate on practical solutions rather than dwelling on the negative. For instance, if you're working with someone who always complains, you'll find that meetings become draining sessions of endless complaints, affecting everyone's morale and distracting from finding real solutions. So, how can Stoicism guide us in dealing with a chronic complainer? Firstly, try to limit your interaction with them as much as possible. If avoiding them isn't an option, like if they're a family member or co-worker, then mentally distance yourself during their ranting. Think of their complaints as just a brief storm, loud and disruptive, but ultimately temporary and incapable of shaking the solid mountain of your inner peace. Another strategy is to redirect conversations towards solutions or shift to more positive topics. Remember Marcus Aurelius's words about controlling your mind, not external events. This Stoic wisdom urges us to safeguard our mental peace actively, ensuring that the negativity of constant complainers doesn't steer us away from our path of resilience and virtue. Type of people number 2. The drama magnet. Now consider the drama magnet. Picture your life as a ship sailing on calm waters, but suddenly you come across the whirlpool of a drama magnet. This person seems to be in a never-ending cycle of crises, conflicts, or controversies. Like a whirlpool, they have a disturbing knack for pulling you into their vortex of chaos. Initially, you might be drawn to the drama magnet's energy, mistaking it for passion or liveliness, but soon you'll realize it's like navigating your ship through a storm, both exhausting and perilous. The complexity of dealing with drama magnets is that their crises can feel like your own. Their chaos is contagious, and you might find yourself dragged into conflicts that you initially had no part in. Let's use a real-life example. Suppose you have a friend who regularly has fallouts with others in your social group. Today, they're upset with Sarah. Tomorrow, it's Tom. They come to you for advice, but you notice this pattern never really ends. Suddenly, you're inadvertently involved in the drama with Sarah or Tom because you tried to intervene. In such situations, a technique called reflective listening can be very effective. Instead of offering advice or taking sides, reflect their words back to them. For instance, if they say, "I can't believe Sarah said that about me," you could respond with, "So you're feeling hurt by what Sarah said." This method lets you provide emotional support without getting entangled in the drama. Another approach, which might seem counterintuitive, is to become selectively unavailable. Stoicism reminds us of the importance of valuing our time and sometimes being unavailable for others' crises, especially if they recur without resolution. Switch off your phone at certain times, create periods of focused work or personal development, and let others know that you're not to be disturbed during these times. As Seneca said, true happiness is enjoying the present without anxious dependence on the future. Rather than fretting over the next crisis a drama magnet might bring, focus on your current moment and maintain control over your life. Stay clear of the drama whirlpools to preserve your journey towards personal growth and tranquility. Type of people number 3, the naysayer. Picture yourself as an artist, painting a canvas with each stroke, adding depth and life to your vision. Then the naysayer enters, scrutinizing your work and quickly voicing their doubts. Are you sure about that color? That doesn't look realistic. You know, most artists never make it, right? Their words cast a shadow of doubt over your vibrant creation. This isn't just about constructive criticism, which can be helpful, but rather a persistent aura of negativity and skepticism. For example, imagine you're excited about a new career path. You've done your research, talked to professionals in the field, and even started some preliminary courses. When you share your plans with a naysayer, they quickly list all the reasons it might not work out. The market's too competitive, questioning your skills, or the risk of failure. Before long, their doubts start to weigh on you, and your confidence begins to wobble. How do you handle a naysayer, especially when they're someone close to you? One effective method is to seek their advice, rather than just sharing your plans or aspirations. When people are asked for advice, they're less likely to dismiss your ideas outright and may provide more constructive feedback. Another strategy is to engage in what's known as positive confrontation. Challenge their negativity by asking them for solutions. For instance, if they doubt your career change, ask, "How do you think someone could successfully make this transition?" This approach doesn't just deflect negativity, it fosters a more productive conversation. Remember the words of Epictetus, who emphasized the importance of listening more than speaking. Listening doesn't mean accepting every piece of negativity, it means discerning what's valuable from what's just noise. When faced with naysayers clouding your vision with doubt, step back, reflect, and continue painting your life with your chosen colors. Don't let anyone dull your vibrant masterpiece with their shades of gray. Type of people number 4, the victim. Now consider the victim. Life, like a chess game, involves strategic thinking, sacrifices, and risks. However, the victim always blames the board, the pieces, or even their opponent for every poor move they make. In their narrative, they're perpetually in checkmate, not due to their choices, but because of external forces working against them. Their story is a continuous tale of woes, with themselves cast as the helpless protagonist. I can't get ahead in my job because my boss dislikes me. Or, I can't get fit because of my genetics. While acknowledging that some people face genuine hardships and systemic issues, the type of victim we're discussing here uses their predicament as a permanent excuse, avoiding any responsibility for their actions or inaction. You might find yourself entangled in their story, perhaps as the character who constantly needs to rescue them. For instance, if you've spent hours listening to a friend blame their string of failed relationships entirely on their ex-partners, not only does this consume your time, but it can also subtly encourage you to adopt a similar mindset in your own life. So, what's the best approach when dealing with a victim? It might be tempting to become their savior, offering endless advice and emotional support, but Stoics would advise against this. Instead, they'd recommend drawing a firm boundary to protect your mental state. Employ a technique known as compassionate detachment. Show empathy and kindness, but don't try to rescue them from situations they need to navigate themselves. Offer a listening ear, but refrain from becoming their perpetual problem solver. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice." If you find yourself getting pulled into the victim's narrative, Resist the urge to become one yourself. Take control of your own game board, make strategic moves, and remember, in the chess game of life, being perpetually in checkmate is often a choice, not fate. Keep your pieces moving forward, make strategic sacrifices when necessary, and play not for revenge or pity, but for growth and wisdom. Type of people number 5, the toxic positivist. Next, we have the toxic positivist. You're likely familiar with this type. They always seem to radiate sunshine, rainbows, and a stream of positive emojis. They're the ones who tell you to just be happy, even during challenging times, often dismissing your genuine feelings and experiences with overly simplistic optimism. Imagine your life as a garden. Yes, there are flowers, but there are also weeds and pests. The toxic positivist, however, insists on focusing only on the positives and ignoring the negatives. They might say, "Got aphids on your leaves? Just focus on the flowers. Don't let negativity into your garden." This approach can leave you feeling invalidated and disconnected from the complex realities of life. Suppose you're going through a tough breakup. You're feeling sad, confused, and looking for some emotional support. The toxic positivist's advice might be, "There are plenty of fish in the sea, just smile and be happy." This kind of excessive positivity overlooks the complexities of human emotion and the reality of life's challenges. So, how do you ensure your garden thrives without letting the toxic positivist trample it with their indiscriminate good vibes only? One strategy is to engage them in a conversation that embraces both the light and the shadow. If they say, "Look on the bright side, at least you have your health," you could respond, "Yes, I'm grateful for my health, but it's also okay for me to feel upset about this particular issue. Both can coexist." Another approach is to practice what psychologists call emotional granularity, the ability to feel and differentiate between a wide range of emotions, both positive and negative. When a toxic positivist pushes you to just be happy, take a moment to acknowledge and name your nuanced feelings. Saying, "I'm feeling a bit melancholic today because of X, and that's okay," can be a powerful affirmation. In Stoic thought, Seneca once said, "True happiness is to understand our duties toward God and man, to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." Notice the balance here, understanding duties, which aren't always pleasant, and enjoying the present. A Stoic approach isn't about focusing solely on the positive or the negative. It's about embracing life's complexity with equanimity. So, the next time a toxic positivist showers their confetti on your carefully tended garden, step back and remember, a garden needs both sunshine and rain to flourish. Embrace your full emotional spectrum and continue nurturing your garden with the richness and complexity it deserves. Type of people number 6, the manipulator. Consider the manipulator, like a shadowy figure subtly altering the script of your life's movie. You're the protagonist with a vision of how your story should unfold, but the manipulator, like a cunning producer, rewrites your script, steering you off course without you even realizing. They're masters at emotional or psychological manipulation, using tactics like flattery, guilt trips, or deceit to guide you in a direction that benefits them. You might know someone who always seems to get you to do things for them. For example, a friend who routinely convinces you to pay for dinner by saying things like, "You know, I've been having a tough month, and you're doing so well. It wouldn't mean much to you, but would make my day." Over time, you realize that your generosity has been exploited, but confronting them feels awkward because they've framed it as a favor between friends. Dealing with a manipulator is challenging. One technique to counter their tactics is known as fogging. This involves agreeing with any truth in the manipulator's statements, but refusing to be swayed by emotional coercion. For instance, If they comment on your success as a reason for you to cover dinner, you could reply, "You're right, I have been doing well, but let's stick to splitting the bill as usual." Another approach is setting clear boundaries and enforcing them. If a manipulator pressures you to lend money or commit to tasks you're uncomfortable with, learn to say no assertively. A calm and clear response like, "I can't lend money, but I'm here to offer emotional support," sets a boundary while preserving the relationship. Drawing on Stoic philosophy, Epictetus warned us that we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. Manipulators thrive on predictable reactions. They leverage your kindness, guilt, or desire for approval. By choosing to respond differently, you regain control of your narrative. So if you find a manipulator lurking in your life, remember that you're the one holding the pen. Your story is yours to write, and while the cast may include various characters, your journey, the protagonist's journey, should always be guided by your values and decisions. Reclaim your script and don't let anyone manipulate the narrative of your life. Type of people number 7, the time vampire. Lastly, let's talk about the time vampire. Picture your daily routine as a symphony, where each instrument represents a task or commitment, and together they create a harmonious balance. But then the time vampire comes in, screeching off-key, disrupting your melody and turning your well-composed symphony into a discordant mess. The time vampire isn't necessarily malicious. In fact, they might seem quite benign. It could be a colleague who constantly interrupts you with trivial questions, turning your productive workday into a fragmented mess. Or a friend who invites you to endless social events you're not interested in, making you feel obligated to attend and thus draining your time and energy. These interactions might seem inconsequential at the moment, but their cumulative effect can be profoundly disruptive. So how do you protect your symphony from being ruined by a time vampire? One effective strategy is the Pomodoro technique, a time management method that involves breaking your work into intervals, traditionally 25 minutes, separated by short breaks. During these intervals, make it clear that you're not to be disturbed. This sets a boundary that protects your most productive times from being nibbled away by trivial interruptions. If you find yourself dealing with a social time vampire, remember that saying no is not just okay, but essential for your well-being. Instead of offering elaborate excuses, a simple, "I appreciate the invite, but I can't make it," suffices. Declining an invitation is not a rejection of the person, it's an affirmation of your own needs and priorities. Seneca famously said, "Life, if well lived, is long enough." Stoicism teaches us that time is one of our most precious resources, one that should be allocated wisely. It's the canvas upon which we paint the portrait of our lives, and we should be highly selective about who and what deserves a stroke of our brush. In the grand composition of your life, ensure that each note, each instrument, each melody aligns with your greater purpose. Don't let the cacophonous intrusion of a time vampire throw your symphony into disarray. Hold the baton firmly and conduct your life with purpose, ensuring that every moment is a note well played in your harmonious masterpiece. As we conclude today's exploration of the characters who can derail our path towards Stoic resilience and wisdom, it's crucial to turn the lens inward for self-reflection. It's relatively easy to identify these types in others, but the more challenging and enlightening task is to look within ourselves. Are you, perhaps unintentionally, playing one of these roles in someone else's life? Remember, Stoicism isn't just about navigating the external world. It's also about understanding and improving ourselves. If today's discussion has sparked a realization, an epiphany, or even a bit of introspection, I'd love to hear about it in the comments section. Share your thoughts and experiences, and let's engage in a dialogue that enriches us all. So, until next time, may your choices reflect your virtues, may your actions demonstrate your wisdom, and may your life be the masterpiece you're meant to create.